It is 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Our bumper is running. We're starting a brand new week. Andy Clapp is standing by, and we are recording and streaming, and our chat room is waiting. Let's start a countdown to good old Studio 8. Well, good evening. Welcome. This is PJNet.TV. I'm your host, Coach Prasick, and we start a brand new week, and it is customary on the, is it the first Monday? The second Monday, I knew it was one of those Mondays, of every month. Andy Clapp visits us. Andy Clapp's a busy guy, and he makes time to share what's going on in the world of all things Andy Clapp, all things Mount Zion Baptist Church, and the good life that is being lived there. And he will join us now all the way from his, that must be his pastor's study, with all those books behind you, the reference books and, 40 translations of the Bible in 4 languages and all that kind of stuff. And folks, I started out when Andy came into the green room. I said, Andy, tell me you haven't been officiating any funerals, because every time we meet, Andy, it's just one thing after another.
Yeah, we've had a run of them lately. I lost my great aunt, my great uncle, and their son in 3.5 weeks. Just my great uncle passed due to cancer, and then his wife passed due to what I assume is congestive heart failure, and then their son was killed in a tractor accident. Just a week and a half later. It's been a whirlwind, but I know exactly what they believed. I know who they put their trust in, so I know exactly where they're at tonight, and probably going to be the greatest Christmas of their life. That's what I believe.
Eternal Christmas. It's Christmas.
Exactly.
There's that phrase, it's Christmas every day, but up there it will be, first of all,
Absolutely.
Day every day, all the time, and it'll be Christmas. Yeah, I guess, whatever the best of the best thing you can think of, that's what it'll be. All the time. So, Andy, so we've got the bad news behind us, and so now you're going to tell us all the great things happening. I guess Operation Christmas Child is a done deal at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, we finished up. We hit just over 4,000 shoe boxes for this year, so we're excited for that. And we had another ministry that was taken off this year. We've done it in years past. It's called Appalachian Backpacks, and you fill the backpacks full of different essential items and toys and stuff like that as well. And it goes to the mountains of North Carolina and Virginia, to some of these families that just don't have anything. And in years prior, we were doing, somewhere around 16 to 18, and this year we hit right near 100 backpacks that went out. And so God's blessing us, because right now we're just trusting Him to do whatever it is He calls us to do. And I think you get to a point, Coach, where you start believing in a God that's bigger than your parameters. We always try to set parameters on things, or boundaries, I guess we could say. We say, okay, it's got to fit inside of this. And then if you allow Him to, God will come in sometimes like a pack of C4 and blow those walls right on out. And we've experienced the C4 God, is what we'll say, over the last few years, and especially this year, just the way He's moved in just a huge way. And I think for me, it's exciting. I mean, we're getting ready to launch a new ministry in January. We hadn't really come out with what we're doing yet, but they're going to find out in January, and we know they're going to jump on board. But it's going to be basically, we're going to have like a clothing ministry that will be going into Honduras. And so there's like these villages in Honduras that are just, when we say remote, it's worse than Liberty. And it's like way out there, and we are working with some missionaries there, and it's going to be just an incredible opportunity for us to do what Jesus said when he said, I was hungry, you gave me something to eat, thirsty, you gave me something to drink, I was naked and you clothed me. And here we can do this, and we've got inroads to do it. So we're going to take advantage of it and run with it and see what God's going to do with it, because we know that the villagers down there are in desperate need. And, as God always does, he aligns us with the right people in the right places at the right time. And we're just going to follow him and take off with it.
I'm hesitant to use the word encourage, but bear with me. Just hang in there. I served in disaster relief for 14 years, and this tornado outbreak is off the scales. I mean, it is the Hurricane Katrina of tornadoes.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating? The mainstream media news can't help but glorify God because they're reporting on these people that have been wiped out, and they're all just praising God, saying, I am just so blessed to be alive. I am so blessed to have what, I was spared. There was one story that kind of got to me. My eyes began to leak. The tornado had obviously ravished the entire house, except one corner. The Christmas tree and all the gifts were standing intact.
Wow.
And they showed this on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I saw one of a church, and the roof of that church was blown off, basically 3/4 blown off, I reckon. And they showed the pews, and all the Bibles were still intact and in place. I was like, it just blows my mind. Because we're going to look at doing some stuff too for the tornadoes, and thankfully, we're a Southern Baptist church, and the Baptist-owned men are already en route out there. And Samaritan's First is going to be doing some stuff out there, so we'll partner with them. It breaks your heart to see the devastation that happens in situations like that, but you're encouraged because you hear the stories of faith and the stories of resiliency. And it just blows my mind to think that in a moment they can lose it all, but actually, if you got faith in Jesus Christ, you still have everything.
Yeah, it wasn't yours at all anyway. It
Absolutely
belonged to him. The other thing is, there's compare this with a more urban setting when things like this happen. Looting begins to become rampant and chaos. Well, there's certainly chaos, but not at the social level. There's chaos because of the disruption, but I guess there's no stores to loot, but what are you going to do? I'm looting this 50-pound sack of grain. Different kind of people.
And it's just a different, there's a different response. And the different response, as I look at it, I see it as opportunity. Gospel opportunity. Every one of these things is always a gospel opportunity. And we as the church, and I mean the big church, all of us as Christians, we have so many opportunities when these kind of things happen. And the question comes back to us, what are you going to do about it? And absolutely, we're going to do something, and God bless them. God bless them, because I believe those communities are rallying around each other, and that's not typical. It's really just not typical anymore, but thank God they are.
Well, let me tell you what's going to happen, because I've seen this happen over and over and over. Right now, it's the news story. It's on the CBS, ABC, NBC evening news. It's the lead story. It's a big deal. The cameras are there. Drone footage is there. Everybody, okay, well, and it should be. But let me tell you, in about 2 weeks, those cameras will be gone.
Oh, yeah.
But the devastation and the need will continue. And, of course,
absolutely.
And this is where we shine. Particularly Southern Baptists, we are the second largest disaster relief organization in the world, second only to the Red Cross. The Red Cross is out there right now delivering meals to people, hot meals, and north of 90% of all the hot meals the Red Cross has ever delivered were prepared by Southern Baptist. Folks, what I'm saying is that the need is long term. The
Yeah.
attention in the news cycle right now is overwhelming. But in a couple of weeks, it'll be something else, and this will be largely forgotten. But the work that will continue in the days ahead, and the need for volunteers, the need for resources, will become great, because that initial surge of help, it's like anything else. When you have a death in the family, there's a lot of people circling up the wagons around you, but that doesn't last. People have to get
It
back to their
doesn't.
lives.
I saw that firsthand in 2011. In 2011, when the tornadoes hit Joplin,
Oh yeah.
Tuscaloosa. It was like one of the worst outbreaks ever. It may be second now to this
Mm-hmm.
one, but that summer I took a group down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Now those tornadoes hit at the end of April, and I took a group down to Tuscaloosa to do mission work down there and try to save some homes and just do what we could do for a community that was in need. And we spent a week down there. And Coach, you noticed the difference. At first it was all hands on deck, and then here we were. What's that? 3 months later, we're there, and there's not nearly as many volunteers, but there was just as much work that needed to be done. And we were on the way home from Tuscaloosa, and we got a message from somebody in Birmingham who had seen our post about, that we were in Tuscaloosa and doing
Mm-hmm.
this, that, and the other. And they said, "Is there any way you guys can come back and help us in Birmingham?" And I'll never forget. Grabbed my cell phone. I called Reed, who's one of the guys that was, he was one of the older members of my youth group, who was a leader in the youth group. I said, "Hey, man, you think you can get another week off of work?" And he said, "Yeah, I think so. What are we doing?" I said, "We're going to Birmingham." He said, "We're going back to Alabama." I said, "We're going back to Alabama." And so we were home for 2 weeks, turned around and went back to Birmingham, Alabama, and helped out there in the relief effort there. Because at that point, I mean, they're reaching out to us saying, "Okay, if you guys are down here, is there any way you can do more? Can you help out some more?" Because, like you said, the first couple weeks, there's going to be plenty of attention.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that devastation and destruction, it lasts beyond those first few weeks. And that's why when I do funerals, I tell every family whenever we do a funeral, if you need me 6 months from now, if you need me 6 years from now, I'm going to be here, anything you need. And here's why. The first week after somebody passes,
Mm-hmm.
it is nonstop checking in, phone calls, meals being brought
Food,
in, all of that. But after about a week and a half, you got about 10 days, and then that's just gone. And what happens is everybody has their lives to go to. And a lot of times we forget that we need to check in just to see how they're doing. So I always tell them, I say, if you need me 6 months from now, because you may need somebody 6 months from now, don't hesitate to call. Because as Christians, we're in this for the long game. We're not in it just for the short. We're not in it just for the lights, the camera, and all that stuff. We're in it for the long-term restoration. We believe in the long-term redemption stories. And to do that, you got to hang around. You can't flop in and out. You got to hang around. You got to be the consistent. Jesus was always consistent. And we as Christians have to be consistent too, so that we're not just there for a moment. We're there beyond the moment.
Powerful. When you took your youth down to Alabama, when they came back, what were some of the stories they shared, and how did it change them? We know about how it can impact the people that you minister to, but with most mission trips, I wonder sometimes who gets the most benefit, the volunteer or the people that the volunteer is serving.
I think it put it into perspective. I mean, honestly, where we're at, most of the kids in our youth group, I'm not going to say, they were basically middle class families. And where we live, you don't see destruction from tornadoes like that. Now, we see destruction from hurricanes sometimes, but even that, there had not been a whole lot of major hurricanes in their lifetime that they could remember. There were some, but just not to that degree. And to this day, that was 2011, so we're 10 years after that. They still talk about what they saw down there. because they're grown up now, they have kids, and whenever we see each other or talk to each other, it's going to come up, and it does come up. And I'll never forget. There's this one house that we were at in Tuscaloosa. I think this is where it's at. We're at this house in Tuscaloosa, and there was a tree overturned. That the root base of that tree was, probably 15, 20 feet. I mean, it's massive.
Mm-hmm.
And the house, was 3/4 of the way gone. And some of the girls were helping it because we were cleaning, debris and stuff like that. And I'll never forget, some of the girls found this photo album laying there. And in all likelihood, that photo album had flown from who knows how many miles away, and that's just where it deposited.
Well, Andy seems to have.
So that's how these things work. And
Okay.
realization set in that more than likely some of them were gone. That whole family might have been gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a sobering moment right there, especially for a 16-year-old, because you're thinking you've got 75, 80 years on this planet, and one storm wiped it out, and they may have been looking at the pictures of a family who was no longer on this earth, and that hit hard. I remember we went into another one, Coach, and like there was a swimming pool there, and the houses all around it were completely gone. I mean, completely gone. Just foundations were left. Everything else was just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this swimming pool there. And it was this real, you stop for a minute and you think, 5 days before that, there might have been kids playing in that pool. Where are they now? Because there were entire communities just wiped off the map when those things came through. And that inevitably is what's going to happen with these ones that were out in the Midwest.
I remember some of the more grotesque things that we had to do, and nobody thinks about it, until you get there and experience it. But fences are torn up, and you've got a bunch of farming land out there, and now wild animals are running all. Well, they're domestic, but they're loose now, and they need to be rounded up. And the sad part is, you think the human casualties are high. The losses of beef are unbelievable. And all those cows have to be drugged, somewhere because they begin to, stink. And another interesting thing that happens is immediately afterwards, all the rules and regulations about burning and trash disposal. Yeah. No, just here. We're going to dig this pit. We're going to pile it up here. Well, whose land is that? Well, I don't know. They have to sort it out. But then as time goes on, the regulations start to kick back in. You have to have you can't just dump that stuff anywhere you want to. But the National Guard actually does a great job of the disposal. We would basically get after a hurricane, you've got walls that have to come out of the house, strip it down to the studs, basically, so we're taking all this old soggy sheetrock and crap, and you pile it there by the road, and the National Guard brings their equipment and they bring it up. They're very efficient. Now, if you ever get in that situation, before you start piling stuff up, find the water cutoff. Don't pile it there, okay? Because we busted a pipe, Where do you reckon the water valve was? Yeah, underneath, 10 feet of debris that we had put there. Yeah, and the other thing is the local, churches and whatnot. They'll come out and they'll say, our facilities are okay. We've got electricity. We would like you all to come in. We want to feed you a good lunch. I said, no, absolutely not. Why not? I said, because if we get those guys up there in your air-conditioned building, get them a full belly, I won't get any work out of them the rest of the day. Now, if you want to bring some sandwiches out here, well, we'd really appreciate it, but no. But the women amaze me. They're the best workers, in my opinion. The heroes with the chainsaws and the gear, the fork backhoes and all, the Rambos. They certainly do a good job. But see, that chainsaw crew can work for half an hour. You know how long it takes to haul all that stuff off that they cut in half an hour?
Oh, I know.
The rest of the day and then some.
Yeah, it was. It's definitely a team effort when those things, and a lot of the people who do some of the best and the hardest work never get known for it, and never get the glory for it. But that's the true heart of a servant, is that you ain't got to get known, you ain't got to have the glory for it. You can just do it and go after it and keep it going.
Well, you don't have to be particularly skilled at anything like construction. We have to, here, take the nails out of the studs that held the drywall in.
Yeah,
you do that. Okay. Unscrew this because we got to put new drywall up. That's really, you can do that. Spray Clorox. It's so many good memories, and I think it helps to, like you said, gain perspective.
It does.
When people are self-sufficient, they tend to think that they kind of don't need God in their life.
Yeah.
And they find
out
that
the moment comes and we realize how desperately we need Him.
Yeah, your self-sufficiency is an illusion. We are all completely dependent on a sovereign God that, good thing He loves us,
Ain't that right?
All right, are you going to have time? I thought maybe you'd been hunting or something. You going to have time to get a haircut before we see you again?
I don't know.
Or shave or something.
Coach, I stay busy. I'm promoting a book. Got 2 books coming out next year, actually 3, because I'm working on one with Dale Didway and Bethany Jett now. We're doing a FSU book and a University of Florida Gators book, and so I'm busy. I'm trying to fit one in there, but here's the thing: is that every time I get ready to get my hair cut, there's it seems like our kids get sick, and so it just kind of messes up that plan and. It'll happen one of these days. Either that, or I may look like Billy Ray Cyrus the next time I'm on here. You never know.
So you and Bethany are doing the FSU devotion?
Yeah, with Dale.
Okay, with
Dale.
So how's the division of labor work there with you and Bethany on one team?
Oh, it's great. We're doing. I think I'm doing like a half of it, or.
Are you just going to alternate chapters, or?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah, that's how it's going to work. But it's fun because I like FSU football. So I'm a huge fan of Bobby Bowden's.
Sure. Well, who is it? Do you have a list of who you want to talk to? Of people to talk to?
Working on it. I hadn't gotten very far with that yet because I'm trying to get my baseline devotionals written, and then I'm gonna reach out to some of them and see who we can get. I mean, I'm hoping to get Coach Rick to join in. I've interviewed him before,
right?
And he's a powerful, powerful, powerful man of God. And so I'm hoping to get him. And I've talked to Terry and Tommy before. I'm probably going to get something from them, just about their dad.
Yeah, Dion might be able to help you. And there's others. Now, if you want the voice of the Seminoles, I can get you in touch with them, Gene Deckerhoff.
Now, that'll work. That would work great. Are you talking about Gene Decker?
Gene Deckerhoff, the voice of the Seminoles. He also is the voice of the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yep. Yeah, if you can get me Gene, I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That'll work good.
There's many interviews with Gene.
I used to work with Gene.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's at the stadium. I was at the radio station. And
that was awesome.
He'd come in the studio afterwards, and we'd record and dub and produce, work. And those were some long nights, as they still are in my life today. By the time we do this again, Christmas, and for that matter, New Year's will have come and gone. So Merry Christmas, Andy, and we thank you for your commitment to doing this. I know that, I don't know how long we've been doing this, but a pretty long time. And you've been so faithful and so giving, and there are other demands on your time. I realize that, and we appreciate you making time for us. I didn't even bother to put your name up here, folks. This is Andy Clapp. In case you've never tuned in before and don't know, he's famous all over the world for many things, and but
famous or infamous?
Well, he's well known in one way. He's, anybody that's met Andy has an opinion, okay, and no, always good. But Andy is the pastor and leader of one of the best kept secrets in small churches at Mount Zion Baptist Church. What a dedicated team of, well, you got little old ladies, you got old, folks like me, the kind of, wobbling around saying, hey, you ready? Oh, forgot my teeth. Let me go put my teeth in, but and some young
We love it.
Andy, thank you so much for sharing tonight. It's always a blessing. We appreciate you and just want to encourage you as you encourage us.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, man. Take care. That was Andy Clapp right here on pjnet.tv. The fun's not over in just a few minutes. I mean, just a few minutes. Casper Stockham will be joining us from the great state of Colorado. He has sent me his talking points memo. Until I get back, contemplate these two questions. Ready? What is the boldest thing you have ever done for Jesus Christ? And second, how long ago was that? Let's not be satisfied with either answer.